Hey guys, this is Miss Harlequin, and in this video we're going to be learning our new vocabulary words from our College 101 unit. These words are from the college essays we're going to be reading this week. Alright, so the first thing I'd like you guys to do is to take your vocabulary sheet and you're going to rate your prior knowledge of each of the vocabulary words, meaning you're going to look at each of the words on the screen. You're going to ignore the definitions for now. You're just going to look at the word. And based on just the word, do you know this word already? We're going to use our 4-point scale. A 1 is you've never seen or heard the word before. A 2 is you've seen or you heard it, but you're not really sure what it means. You couldn't explain it. A 3, you know the word and you can give the definition. And a 4, you're an expert on the word. Not only do you know it, but you could explain it to somebody else. You could use it in different sentences. If this word has more than one definition, you understand what all the different definitions of the word are. All right, so our first word is attribute. Second word is quirks. Third is fervent. Fourth is ingrained. Fifth is deft. And the sixth word is dynamic. All right, so let's start with word number 1, attribute. So an attribute is a quality or a characteristic that you give to a person, a group, or some other thing. So your best attribute might be your willingness to help others, like when you stop traffic so the duck family could cross the street. So another way to think about an attribute is to think of it as like a personality trait. That's a pretty good synonym for what attributes are. They're the things that you have, the things that make you, you. So again, it's a trait, it's a quality, or a characteristic. His talent for fixing things is a useful attribute. It's a useful quality, a useful trait, a useful characteristic. So some synonyms for attribute are the word aspect. It's an aspect of your personality. It's a part of your personality. Characteristic, a facet. A facet is a small part of something. Or again, quality. All right, our next word is quirk. So a quirk is a unique, odd, and sometimes charming trait that makes a person stand out from the crowd. A lot of times people use, instead of the word quirk, they'll use the adjective quirky. Right? When you describe somebody as quirky, you're saying they're a little bit weird, they're a little unique, a little bit odd. Country comedian Minnie Pearl was known for her quirk, again, her odd little trait, of wearing $1.98 price tag dangling from her hat, which of course is a little bit weird. Most people take price tags off of their clothing when they wear them. So again, it's a little tiny weird kind of trait. A quirk can be an adorable little habit, like somebody who wears flowery dresses and big sunbonnets or bow ties every day. It's kind of a weird outfit, but they're kind of cute. They have their own style. And again, the adjective form is quirky. So someone who has one or many quirks is usually described as being quirky. It's a little odd, but usually in a fun way. So having a quirk and being quirky usually kind of has more of a positive connotation. Although if it's an annoying quirk, you could use it in the context where it's negative. But some synonyms would be characteristics. Being eccentric, someone who's eccentric is that kind of walks to the beat of their own drummer. That's the idiom people use to describe it. A foible is a synonym, but a foible is definitely a little more negative. It's a trait that you have that usually leads to your downfall or causes trouble. Kinks, when there are kinks in something, it's usually something that causes a little trouble. It's like a bump in the road. Or a mannerism, except that mannerism is definitely neutral, and quirk has a little bit of a stronger connotation where you're saying it's a little bit weird. Mannerism could be good or bad, doesn't have to be weird. So again, a quirk is a peculiar behavioral habit. Janice has the irritating quirk of rolling her eyes whenever she speaks. All right, our next word is fervent. So we use the word fervent to describe a person or a thing that shows very strong feelings or enthusiasm. You could also use it as an adverb, so you could describe your actions as being done fervently. If you're doing something fervently, you're doing it very strongly, very enthusiastically. So if you have a fervent desire to become an actress, you'll stop at nothing to realize your dream. So you could also kind of think of fervent as being strong. But some other synonyms are someone who is ardent, someone who is devout, that's where the word devotion is related to, right? When you're devoted to something, you're very attached to them. Earnest, ecstatic, that's a lot of excitement, or passionate. That's a really good synonym, right? Somebody who's fervent definitely has passion for what they're doing. So when you're fervent, again, you believe or you feel something strongly or sincerely. You display a lot of passionate intensity. Because Mark and Katie are fervent fans of the television show, they never miss an episode of the series. They are strong or passionate fans, fervent fans. All right, our next word is ingrained. So we use the adjective ingrained to describe the really strong beliefs that someone has. Usually if it's ingrained in you, it means that you've thought that way for a very long time. It's been built up over many, many years. So ingrained patriotism, right? If you are a patriot, that feeling might be ingrained within you. It's very deep within you when something is ingrained. It's been building up over the years, taught to you. It's deep-seated. That's a really good synonym for ingrained. Or inherent. Rooted. It's very deeply rooted. It's built in. So it's been around for a very, very long time. You believe it strongly. Obviously, if it's ingrained, you're probably going to have very fervent feelings towards it, or your actions might be fervent. Now, ingrained is an adjective, so you would use it to describe the belief or whatever it is that somebody believes deeply in, the topic, the feeling. You're going to say it was ingrained. Maybe it was ingrained inside them or ingrained in their actions, or it is ingrained, right? Past or present tense. But you do not use it as a verb. It is not a verb. So you can't say, I ingrained the words. That would not make sense. All right, so again, ingrained, something that exists for a long time. It's very difficult to change it. It's firmly established, a firmly established belief. When I learned my times table, my mother played a song to help me memorize the numbers until they were ingrained in my memory. When you think about things being ingrained, think about things that are habits with people. Things, usually customs, can become ingrained. All right, our next word is deft. Deft means to show cleverness and skill in the way that you handle things. So what you want to see in a football or basketball player is some deft handling of the ball. So you want it to, again, if it's deft, it is very skillful. All right, somebody who fumbles the ball is not really being deft. They're not showing deft handling of the ball. So if you are deft, you're skillful, you're able to do something quickly and accurately. The deft carpenter, right? So you're using it as an adjective. You're describing the carpenter as being skillful. Was able to take a few old boards and turn them into a beautiful bookshelf. Now, since deft, obviously it's a little bit weird. It's a more sophisticated way of saying the word skillful. So one of the easiest ways to use this in a sentence would be to write a sentence where you're describing someone as skillful and then just replace the word skillful with the word deft. All right, so our last word is the word dynamic. If a person, place, or thing is energetic and active, then it is dynamic. When things are dynamic, there's a lot going on. So some synonyms would be high energy. Someone who's impulsive might also be described as dynamic, although those are not really perfect synonyms. Something that's dynamic is changing, and again, energetic, which is, of course, similar to high energy. It's just the adjective version. So dynamic is to be exciting, to have or show a lot of energy. You might describe a person as dynamic or their personality, like our teacher gets our attention with her dynamic personality, her exciting personality. Or you might use it to describe somebody's work. Because Carol is a dynamic worker who can easily move from task to task, she never has a problem finding a job. So she has a lot of energy. She's a dynamic worker. All right, so now it's time to write our own example sentences. Remember that when we are writing our own sentences, we want to make sure we use the word correctly. So if the word is an adjective, we want to make sure that our sentence uses the word as an adjective. You can also use other versions of the word. So if within the word family there's a verb version or a noun version, you can use that as well. Make sure that your sentences not only use the word properly, but also contains context clues, which is why you want to think about the 5 W's. A very detailed sentence that describes who the sentence is about, where and when it's taking place, what the person or thing is doing, why and how, especially the why and how. Usually we get a lot of context clues from why and how. If you have all of those details or a lot of those 5 W's, the more detailed your sentence, the more likely there are context clues in. Of course, you want to also consider, for bonus points, writing either a second sentence. That'll get you extra credit. And if you use previous vocabulary words, like words from 6th or 7th grade, and make sure you identify them, underline them, or highlight them, you will also get some bonus swag points for that extra vocabulary. Make sure you bring your vocabulary sheet to class tomorrow so we can use it for our lesson.